clearly the rooms are smaller. But clearly the rooms are smaller. If the old room was twice the size of this.
Oh, yeah.
And where have all the people gone? You know, everyone tells me that comic books are the way they are because this is what the audience wants. Okay. I haven't been near all the books, the stories that I write for the last umpty bunch of years have been locked into my arc of, 20 years plus years that I wrote the book. I haven't been anywhere near contemporary continuity in that time. So I have no idea what the audience wants. I'm just going by my own instincts and what I find I like and what I don't like. And again, it's like I was watching, I love Samuel Jackson as an actor. I love him playing Nick Fury. I think it's great. I bailed on Nick Fury I didn't even get through the third episode because it was just incomprehensible. I didn't like the plot, I didn't like the conflict. It's like, hi, we've got Skrulls all over the world. Really? I thought the comic book series was dumbass. And you're doing the same thing in the TV series? Come on. I mean, it's...
But you don't see any correlation between that and the modern world right now? With the discord that's going on right now in America? Because the Skrulls represent community Trumpism.
I grew up in Vietnam, in the middle of the war. When I was at school, we had guys who actually came back from the war. I started as a university student, as a political theorist. I wrote a thesis on the idea of why a war in Southeast Asia was total bullshit. Because Ho Chi Minh, his two favorite political books after Marxism, were the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution. The one country that Vietnam hates is China. So, God, cut a deal. They were Russian communists. Russia's like 4,000 miles away. Cut a deal. Make friends. When the French came in and said, give Indochina back to us, we said yes. But imagine if we'd said no. Imagine if we bonded with the Indochinese, with Vietnam, and cut a deal in the 40s. That, okay, we won't shoot at you. Let's be friends. If for no other reason than to keep 68,000 names off that wall, and God knows how many South Vietnamese, or North Vietnamese, or Vietnamese, period. I remember thinking in 1970, thank God it's over, we'll never be that stupid again. Just goes to show, I knew nothing. But the whole point of learning from history is not to do it again. It's to learn, and we're obviously hell-bent on not learning. The whole point for me of doing the X-Men was to show a better way, is to find a way of living together and of getting to the point where the X-Men could where mutants could become public without being scared. Not to run off to an island and the first thing you say when Sue Richards, who knows a little about saving the Earth, or if not the entire universe, says, when they say to Franklin, "You're welcome to come to Krakoa." "Oh, and we can come visit, right?" "No, you're only human." Oh, great. So the characters that embodied for the 30 years I was directly involved in it, the bonding together of the human species, have now fundamentally turned into racists. Made no sense to me. I mean, it's just, if that's the way, if that's what the audience wants, because it's new, okay. But, it's like Moira suddenly has powers beyond those of humankind. Great, but this is my last chance to get it right. I only have 10 reboots. Who said? I mean, I can think of a doctor that I grew up watching every episode I could get my hands on when I was in the Uke say, I only have 12 reincarnations, not counting the one in America where they're trying to locate, trying to get us going on US TV. Yes. Oh wait, we've used up all those reboots. Surprise, if you just if you just yell a wish through this hole in the wall, we'll give you more. And bless my soul, it worked. But it's like you only have 10 reboots until the editor says, nah, keep going. You only die until an editor or a writer says, I want to write that character. Okay. You're only dead until everybody goes up to heaven to bring you back, which in turn starts a war with hell. No wonder Satan went to California and built a restaurant in LA where he plays the piano. It's, A, you can rationalize anything, you just have to do it really well. But the key is, B, you have to do it really well. You shouldn't read issue after issue and find yourself embraced by question after question and not know what the heck is going on. Because there's a lot more means of entertaining. It's like, if I go to New York Comic-Con, if I go to San Diego, if I go to Phoenix, and there are 100,000, 150,000, even 60,000 people there, why the hell are the sales so pathetic? Why aren't these people who are buying all this clobber that you see downstairs, why aren't they reading books? What are we not doing to attract them in? The first answer that comes to my mind is we're only selling to a convinced audience, to people who buy the book, to people who are already in love. That's great, but your first issue will sell X, your second issue will sell X minus, your third issue will sell X minus minus. By the time you get to the fifth issue, it will sell X minus minus minus. When you have a hit like Captain Marvel, Ms. Marvel, you should have the next arc on sale bammo. You don't wait 6 months and make up your mind then. You grab for the audience and you get the audience to say things like, you gotta read this book, it is really cool. Why is it really cool? Just read it. And yeah, the person can read the book and hate it. You win some, you lose some. But I have been to too many conventions, too many signings, too many places where I've had people come up to me in tears and say how much my work has made a difference to their lives. And if I can do it, why can't other people do it? And yeah, I love the idea because I'm me. Fuck that. No offense. My apologies. But we're storytellers. The point of storytellers is to bring people in. If we have 150,000 people walking through the door, that means they're already interested. Why can't we come up with stuff? And we are in the non-comic, in the non-mainstream areas. Just go ask Richard and Wendy Peeney. That's how they made their fortune. Well, whatever, they made their mark by coming up with something that was totally outside mainstream comics, and it worked. But we should be able to do an echo of that brings in people who tell their friends and want to come back for more. It shouldn't be that hard. And it should start from the principle of, these are people that I like. How can I put them through hell in a way that makes the reader sit there and queue up in front of the comic book store to get the next issue? I mean, I understand I may be too old for this. I will not give you my response because that would be unfair to the lady who's translating. But if I write a bad story, that's one thing. If no one's interested in looking because they're expecting something new, well, if it's something new, it's got to build off of something old, and something old ought to be really, really cool. And it shouldn't be an infinite number of infinitely repetible, infinitely maxi series. You know, fall in love with a book, fall in love with a character, fall in love with a moment, then maybe expand to a crossover. But don't, all right, we're giving you a 35-issue crossover where you have to read all the X-Men books. Why? Because it's cool. Why? Because we've told you. Why? Because it's great stories. Says who? Us. Okay. Who's drawing it? Somebody you've never heard of. Who's writing it? Somebody you've never heard of. Are they good? Sure. Well, why not let us discover it first, then do the crossover? Don't force us to do the crossover. And case in point, I'm reading a series, I'm interested in the series, I want to see what happens next. I don't understand why Kitty Pryde names her book after the people who almost killed her and Nightcrawler and Colossus, but what do I know? I mean, it's like, what the heck? She's Jewish, she could just as easily call it Shutstopper. But in this book, it's like we get to this moment in the book where it ends on we're ending on a cliffhanger. Whoa! I picked up the next issue. Where's the cliffhanger? Oh, it ended 3 issues over. What do you mean 3 issues over? You have to buy the next 3 issues of a totally different series. You have to buy the next issue of a series and the next issue of a different series and the third issue of a different series. That's where it's resolved. But I don't like those series. I don't know the people who are in those series. It's like, why? I mean, I'm paying $5 a comic as it is. It's a very simple equation. We tell you good stories. We tell you good stories with art. You come back for more. When you get a book that is really cooking, great. Then you figure out, how do we team this up with another book that's maybe cooking in a different direction, and the audience go, never saw that one coming. That's the point. It's not to say the same old, it's to give you something never saw that one coming. Like, oh, killing Jean Grey for real. That only works because you have the readers bonded with the character. And that only works because you take the time and the effort to create that relationship between the character and her fellow characters, between the characters and you. This is what matters. You are what matters. That you come in, that you sit here and listen to me blather, but more importantly, that you go down and buy the books and find one that you love, find a set of characters that you love, that you can come to the table and tell me why it works, so that I will want to go out and read it, because if it's good for you, maybe I'll like it. And if I like it, maybe I'll tell someone, and that's how we build an audience. It's not that hard. It shouldn't be that hard. It should be cool. It should be exciting. You should be so zapped by the stuff you're reading that you can't wait to talk about it with your friends or with people who've never heard of it but will be intrigued enough to give it a shot of their own. And I apologize wholeheartedly for the rant, but this is... And tomorrow, I'm doing a Star Trek panel.
Sunday.
God knows why. Oh, Sunday?
Sunday.
Over the rainbow?
Yes.
I mean, I've written 2 comic book Star Trek stories. One in Kirk and one in The Next Generation. I won't hold up that finger. But go figure.